All right. Hey there, and welcome to this episode where I'm going to talk about the idea of being an anxious person or, really identifying with your OCD and anxiety and why I think that's absolutely false and I think you shouldn't. But I know it's a narrative that comes up a lot, so I wanted to address it in this episode. So, real quick, before we dive in, my name is Matt, and thank you so much for being here today. I'm the founder of Restored Minds and the creator of the AAA response. And if you're looking for help on your journey to recovery from OCD and anxiety, I would encourage you to check out the links in the notes or head over to Restored Minds, apply for our Taking Back Control program, and check out the resources that we have available for you. Also, I'm going to be hosting a free live workshop this month. And so it's going to be on December 11th, I believe. I'll have the links down in the notes and on our website as well. So please check that out and register. We're going to be talking about healing emotional wounds and why that's so important when it comes to the long term of your recovery. And also, if you benefit from the show, please help us out by liking, subscribing, and leaving a nice review on Spotify or iTunes. So with that, let's dive in. So I get emails, almost every day from people at different stages of their journey. And one of the things, a narrative that I've seen come up recently is this idea of being an anxious person or being a high strung individual or, I just am anxious, right? And this identification with anxiety or seeing yourself as someone who is anxious. And this is obviously the issue with this being that you've taken an experience like fear, which is a normal human emotion that we experience with, and you've embraced it as an identity of who you are. And then therefore, because you embrace it as an identity with who you are, there is no challenging it, there's no changing it, and more importantly, there's often an expectation that people in your life or even society should accommodate that. And so I've seen this recently at theme parks even, right? I've seen the people will get the ability to skip to the front of the line because they have anxiety. And someone who not only has gone through OCD and anxiety personally in the recovery process, but someone who works, with people every day of my life, dealing with this, I couldn't disagree with that more. Because if the reason that someone perpetuates in a state of anxiety or something like the OCD and anxiety loop, right, is because of the resistance to the feeling itself. And this is oftentimes just because the person doesn't have the skill set and hasn't learned how to confront feelings and how to release feelings and let them go. And so what happens is because of the chronic resistance to the feeling itself, it's almost as if this feeling's on the surface and they're constantly resisting it. There's this tension, right? This inner turmoil of the feeling being present and the resistance to the feeling at the same time. It's like trying to put a lid on, something like a kettle, right? It just all the steam and pressure just builds up. And it's our resistance that actually causes the pressure, not the feeling itself. So when you talk about this idea of being an anxious person, just because you feel anxiety, that's not who you are. And you can say that with any emotion that you're experiencing. If you're feeling in a state of love and you're sending out love, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a loving person. It's like you might be in that state more often than not, and you therefore identify with it. But at the end of the day, your emotions are not who you are. They're varying all the time based on what's going on, belief systems, environmental factors, right? All sorts of stuff. Our emotions are just bouncing all over the place. And to identify with it, then you falsely take on that identity and then create certain limitations and belief structures for your life. So if you see yourself as a anxious person because you experience anxiety more frequently, that's not who you are. It's something that is happening currently because you most likely haven't learned how to actually handle that feeling. So it's continuing to be on the surface, and you then make your life about not feeling it or accommodating it or trying to mitigate it as much as possible. And that creates a very limited way of existence in this world. And this is really what OCD and anxiety recovery is about. It's actually not about not feeling emotions or not having thoughts. It's about learning how to do those correctly, learning how to have a feeling in the body, learning how to be fully aware and present with it, learning how to disengage and observe the mind, and learning how to cultivate an energy state or an emotional state that has the capacity to handle anything that's going on internally. Because when you no longer see this as a disease or who you are, merely as an experience that's happening that will surface and pass if not resisted, then you would never make it part of your identity. It's just something that is happening. Now, you may be in an episode of your life where you're having a lot of those emotions. That's okay, but you don't need to identify with that. In fact, I will go one step further. You should not identify with that. Your emotional state is not who you are. More importantly, anxiety is not a disease. And a lot of times when we say things like I'm an anxious person, we're not only adopting the identity of that, but we're also adopting the belief system that I'm broken or something's wrong with me, because we oftentimes have beliefs that anxiety itself is bad or anxiety is a disease, a disorder. So we take on the identity of someone who is disordered or who is diseased, if you will, broken, flawed, even if that's unconscious. And so you have to really be careful on the language you use toward yourself. And I very strongly encourage you not to ever take on this identity of I'm an anxious person, or defaulting to that and excusing behaviors that reinforce your anxiety because you believe that's who you are. Or even people say things like I'm just so OCD or all this other stuff. You really need to be careful about the language you use towards yourself. And it's definitely something that I would encourage you not to identify with, and to more importantly see that merely what's usually going on is you're not wanting not to feel the feeling. And so your life has often become oriented around that. And the way out of that is to actually learn how to confront the feelings, how to release, how to break the loops, which is something that we teach people every day in taking back control. And so if you are looking for help, I definitely encourage you to apply for that program. And with that, really want to emphasize the point here today of not identifying with your feelings, especially the negative ones, and not taking on any identities other than the ones that you want. And so with that, wish you a great day, great week, and please make sure to register for our live workshop coming up next week. And with that, I'll see you on the next episode. Hey there. So if you enjoyed that video, we've linked up a few more videos that we think you'd find helpful as well. And if you have found this helpful, we'd really appreciate your support by liking and subscribing. And if you're looking for help and guidance, please check out restoredminds.com, as we have several options for you to get started. See you guys soon.